Well, we've just finished up a day in the Côte de Beaune. There's a lot of Côte de Beaune. You can go south about a half an hour and still be in the Côte de Beaune, and you can go north about 20 minutes and still be in the Côte de Beaune. We were on both ends today and in the middle, and it was interesting to see the differences in style of the various winemakers in this area. It matters how they approach the wines, and each is looking for and ends up with something a little different.
Yeah, and particularly in the last vintage, we've been tasting some 2020s from bottle. There aren't that many of them left, but we've been tasting a few, and some 2022s from barrel. But a lot of what we're tasting, most of what we're tasting, is the 21 vintage. And it was a vintage that was very difficult and required a lot of intervention by winemakers to decide when to do things, when to prune, when to harvest, when to treat the vines. And so those decisions had huge impacts. In a year like 2020, when it was very sunny, it was a lot easier. It was dry and not a very easy year, but it was easier to make wine that was kind of homogeneous across the Côte. But 21, you really get the differences in the terroir and the differences of the styles of the winemaker. It's really been a very educational day of tasting.
It has indeed.
We started this morning at Michel Prunier with his daughter Estelle in Aussy-du-Rest. They made some lovely 21s in both colors. And then down the road to Domaine Bourmont, where Sophie Bourmont and her chef de cave Dimitri Blanc are making wonderful wines. We tasted through a bunch of whites and reds from 2021 and some older vintages as well. After lunch in Volnay, we headed down to Thomas Moret in Chassagne-Montrachet, who made his normal, beautiful, very precise, very classic whites in 21, and then finally up to the Domaine Ravo in La Doua, where we tasted some lovely whites and reds in 21 and a couple old vintages as well.
Well, it's our last night in Beaune. Tomorrow we taste in the Côte de Nuit, and then we head north to Paris with a stop along the way. It's an interesting time of the year here. It's the point where there really hasn't been a lot of frost trouble because the bourgeons aren't swollen or beginning to come out, but now that's starting to happen days like this.
Yeah, it's nice out.
And they've got about 2 weeks to worry about a frost, so we wish them well.
Yeah, and then after tomorrow, it's our last tasting day, and we're going to head home. We're headed out to dinner now with some friends at our last night in Beaune at a nice restaurant, and then we fly home on Thursday if we can get to the airport without some strikes and some protests and things like that. So we'll keep you updated. But that's it for tasting update number 8. We'll see you back here tomorrow.